What's going on, everybody? Rob from Spike Week here. Something a little bit different. We are going to do a pre-recorded draft, a Best Ball Mania 3 draft, where we show off some of the Spike Week tools. This way we can kind of focus just on those things. I'm going to show you how I have my layout set up, and we will go over some of the other ways that you can set your layup, not basketball, your layout up so that you can get an edge over the field against other people. It is 10 a.m. where I am. We are wide awake. We have our Mary Lou's coffee, not a sponsor, but should be. While we're waiting, let's just go over some of our overlay options here. So you can see you got plenty of different options you can go with. What we're going to be going with on our draft is we're going to highlight correlated players, of course. We're going to show and highlight week 16 and 17 games. We're going to show our average ADP for this specific tournament. If you wanted to show your average ADP for all tournaments that share the same rankings, so for example, if there's a puppy going on as well as Best Ball Mania 3, you can see that. But for me, I just want to see my Best Ball Mania 3 stuff. You can show some ADP changes if you'd like to. Again, I'm showing just my ownership for this specific tournament. I'm going to show my ownership when drafting my first QB, but not my second QB. And most importantly to me, I believe this is one of the biggest things we have, is we're going to show ownership when drafting our first round, second round, and third round pick. So we're going to be able to see when we draft, let's say, Jamar Chase in the first round, how often do we have Saquon Barkley with him? How many team percentages is that on? So that's the thing that I just find super fascinating for us. So you can see you can do this for all the different sites as well, drafters. And another thing you can do is you can color code all this stuff. So as we're going through the draft, you're going to see that all these different color codes pop up and really highlight these different percentages. All right, so we drew the 6th spot in this draft, which is sometimes one of my favorite spots, but oftentimes I despise this spot if we don't get Jamar Chase or one of the other top fives to fall to us. But if you're looking down on the screen, you can kind of see it starts off with our ownership percentage on these players for Best Ball Mania 3. This 0 right here is going to be a 0 for the beginning because it correlates with what our first quarterback drafted is. And then these zeros will populate as we draft players. This is going to be our exposure for our first player drafted, second and third round player drafted. And you can see that we have these just normal colors here, just the normal, right? We have some red because we don't have a lot of them. And then boom, AJ Brown in yellow with 26%. So color coding really helps us out here to see what we have. All right, fingers crossed. We actually get Jamar Chase at the 6th spot, which is amazing. We see Derrick Henry go at the 5th. This is a clear smash on Jamar Chase, I think, for almost everybody that's watching this, just based on, the best ball community. Although you are seeing people like Derrick Henry, it's usually Austin Eckler that will go here. So we see that we have 16% Jamar Chase. I want as much Jamar Chase as I can get. So when I can get him at this 6th spot, I absolutely love it. So we take Jamar Chase. All right, now that we've taken Jamar Chase, you can kind of see that we'll never get Stephon Diggs with him, but you can see that Cincinnati comes up highlighted. This is our week 17 correlation here. So now when we start scrolling down, we're seeing that this number is populating, right? So I can see that 8% of the time that I have Jamar Chase, I have, for 8% of my teams, I have DeAndre Swift, Jamar Chase. Same with Mike Evans. It looks like when I get Jamar Chase, I am taking Saquon Barkley at a high clip of the time. So there's a 23% correlation there. So what we'll do is kind of, when we get to our next pick, see what makes sense for us in this spot. Players like CeeDee Lamb, we are low on our percentage overall, but you see DeAndre Swift is as well. We're only 4% owned, but 8% of the time that we have Chase, we are taking Swift. Going to switch to this view. Just I know that I'm blocking the way a little bit, but this way the people that are on top of the queue, you can see a little better. If I zoom in a bit more, it kind of messes up the overlay. All right, so we're on the clock. We have Mike Evans as our next ADP. We can see that we've done 8% of the time. We have 11% ownership to Mike Evans. Kind of fine with, he's just fallen so far though, right? That Evans late first feels really good. I mean, late second, late second. Let's grab Barkley. We have a healthy tie-in between Barkley and Jamar Chase, but I kind of want to see what kind of team we can build with Chase, Barkley from the 6th spot. All right, so now that we have our first and second pick, we're starting to see more of these numbers fill in, right? So we can see that Javonte Williams, right, is 23% with Jamar Chase, but also he's 18% with Saquon. A guy like AJ Brown, if I scroll down to him, you can see AJ Brown. I have 26% AJ Brown, which is pretty high, but I have 38% with Jamar Chase, and I have 27% with Saquon. Saquon. So I have that start at least a few times probably. So that's where you got to make your decisions. Do I want to keep pounding that 3-man start? Should I be looking to differentiate it a little bit more? Whatever decision you land on, at least you have this tool right in front of you to kind of let you know, like, hey, here's a decision you need to make. It's it's going to be a vital one. Do you want to keep pounding this or not? Obviously, AJ Brown goes, so we don't have to make that decision, but just wanted to showcase that. All right, we're going to be on the clock here in a second, and Javonte Williams is potentially going to fall to us, which is sort of crazy. I am definitely in on Javonte Williams if he goes to us at the 306, which he's going to. I mean, we see that we have 17% ownership to Javonte. I'm fine with that. I don't mind getting overexposed to him. I really like Javonte Williams this year. We see that 23% of the time that I take Barkley, I have Javonte. So maybe that two-headed start is a little bit too much, but I'm fine with doing it one more time. And we see 18% with Jamar Chase. So I'm going to take that start where we just start with two really good running backs. Jamar Chase, not something I'm doing too often. It does look like when I do it, Barkley, Javonte are part of that build probably. And what I can do after this, if I want to really see that, I can go to the Spike Week tools and I can put in Javonte, Saquon Barkley, see how many times I actually started there. So we're on the clock again. We see Kyle Pitts' fall. I was also looking at Gabriel Davis here, where I've never taken a Gabriel Davis team with Saquon Barkley, which is real interesting to me that I don't have that combination. Just really stands out. But we also see that I've never taken Kyle Pitts with Javonte Williams. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to lock up my elite tight end with Kyle Pitts here. And it looks like I'm pushing wide receiver for a bit, but that's a little bit okay for me in this spot. So I just wanted to show this off as well. As we're drafting, I just went over to our Spike Week Draft IQ just to look at that exposure. Let's just full screen this. And what you can see is that when I put in Saquon Barkley and Javonte Williams, that I've actually only drafted 2 out of like 80 teams that have the 2 of them. So even though I have a high rate of them, there was only 2 teams that had them. So I'm actually not upset at all that we took Barkley and Javonte Williams. Another way you can use the Spike Week tools to just really get your edge. It's like, wow, I have a lot of Barkley, I have a lot of Javonte Williams, but how often do I have them together, right? So that's something else you can be doing and just seeing like, now I know that 100% of the time I have Garrett Wilson. And then from there, you can see who else you have. But maybe I don't want Garrett Wilson on this team to make that a full 100% all 3 times. All right, couple picks away here. See that Gabriel Davis is falling. Not opposed to grabbing him if he gets back to us. I assume he won't. You can see if you're looking here at Mahomes, I have 41% exposure to Mahomes. I've been clear on loving the Mahomes factor. We can see that I have 23% when I have Jamar Chase, 27% with Saquon, and 43% with Kyle Pitts, which isn't shocking. All right, this draft is unfolding really weird. We see DK Metcalf and Michael Thomas go before Gabriel Davis. I think the play here is to just grab Gabe Davis. This is going to be a really unique build. His ADP is generally 44. We can get him at the 54 right now. So I'm going to smash on Gabe Davis, get that week 17 correlation with Jamar Chase. And we see Kittle go. We see Smith-Schuster go. So really weird draft unfolding for us, but we're going to take it. All right, so we're back on the clock. We're tail end of the 6th round. We don't have a quarterback yet. We can look at Hurts here. Don't love the wide receivers too much. We do see Devonta Smith there, which I don't hate. So I think with how weird this draft is unfolding, I'm going to grab Hurts now. We're just going to lock up this quarterback spot. It's looking like wide receiver value is going to fall if the draft continues the way that it's going. So we grab Jalen Hurts. And now that we've grabbed Hurts, we can kind of see this last little block unlock. So if we look at Devonta Smith, for example, 27% ownership. Now I can see that 18% with Jalen Hurts, 8% with Jamar Chase, 9% with Saquon Barkley, and shockingly 36% with Javonte Williams, which is an interesting little stat there that he's that high with him. We also see that Devonta Smith's name lights up in orange because he's stacked with my quarterback. So you can see that's different. You see that Burrow lines up with Jamar Chase. All right, so we are about to be up to pick. Right now I got Devonta Smith queued up. Again, this draft's going weird, so I think we're going to be able to get Smith here. I don't think this guy is going to take him. Famous last words, but he takes Antonio Gibson. So we're going to take Devonta Smith. We see that we have a 27% ownership to him. which is very high, but I'm okay with it. And then we just see that he's correlating 18% of the time with our quarterback, which is his quarterback, Jalen Hurts. So I like having that skinny stack with Devonta Smith and Jalen Hurts. I won't probably take another Eagles player. There's reasons I might, but the 36% ownership with Javonte Williams is really, really interesting. So just to go over our team real quick, we have Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley, Javonte Williams, Jamar Chase, Gabe Davis, Devonta Smith, Kyle Pitts. Really liking the way the team is starting out. I think the plan right now is obviously to hammer wide receiver for the next 3 to 4 rounds, unless we see some big values fall, which could be in the quarterback department. Maybe we get 2 elite QBs based on some of the value I feel like we've gotten. Gabe Davis, 10 picks past ADP, Devonta Smith, 7 picks past. We got lucky with Jamar Chase in the 6th instead of the 5 spot. Javonte Williams, 8. So this is like an all-value team. 43 picks past ADP for Kyle Pitt. So I think this team is going to be pretty unique to the field as of the moment. All right, so we're on the clock and we have a few options here. We see that Lance just went before us. He would have been a thought, which makes me want to vomit. But one thing I'm looking at is that I have Dak Prescott on board here where I'm only 1% owned. I don't have him with any of these other players, and he plays Philly in week 16, and Philly's playing New Orleans, which I don't like, in week 17, and Dallas, as you see, has Tennessee in week 17. Don't have a stacking option right now, but there is a guy I'd like to target, which is Jalen Tolbert later in the draft for him. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take Dak Prescott, up my ownership percentage to him by a little bit. I only had him at 1%. Don't have him with any of these other players, so that makes my second QB a little bit more unique now, and we will try to stack him up a bit later in the draft with Tolbert. And allows me to stack Philly for week 16. Again, I'm not stacking Philly with New Orleans very often. I'm not stacking Dallas with Tennessee very often. So maybe the way for me particularly to play them, stack them 16 against each other. And that might be something I look at going forward in the back half of my Best Ball Mania drafts and even my other drafts as well. The other thing Draft IQ allows me to do is I saw that I only have 4% exposure to Kadarius Toney, and that was probably a big mistake this offseason. I probably should have upped my ownership to him a bit more. So for me on this build as well, I already have what I think is one of the biggest week 17 games stacked, which is Cincinnati Buffalo. I got Jamar Chase. I got Gabe Davis. The other game that I just love is Denver Kansas City. We have our Denver piece with Javonte Williams, but we don't have our Kansas City piece. Would have loved for it to be MVS. We could have done it, but we decided to take Dak Prescott for some differentiation. But we see that Sky Moore is still here. We have 12% ownership, which isn't anything crazy. So we see that we do have him with each of these players, but that's fine. The only one that's really crazy is this 27% here. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to draft Sky Moore. Gives us our week 17 correlation with Denver, and smash the draft button. So now we have Sky Moore as our 4th wideout. So right now we have Jalen Hurts, Dak Prescott, Saquon, Javonte Williams, Jamar Chase, Gabe Davis, Devonta Smith, Sky Moore, Kyle Pitts. Don't hate this team as is. I think we have to tread carefully on what we want to do the rest of the way. We're not in a rush to take a tight end. We are not in a rush to take another quarterback, which we are not going to be doing. Hurts and Prescott is fine. Maybe we want to take a high-end 3rd running back if it makes sense. We'll probably going to be looking at wideout. Now, if you remember looking back, Garrett Wilson was 100% for our Saquon and Javonte Williams team, but I still love him. Still love him. We see Treylon Burks as the top wide receiver left. He correlates with week 17 with Dallas, potentially something we might want to look at. He manages to get back to us. All right, so we're back on the clock, and I was looking at Rondell Moore, but he ends up going off the board. I think I'm looking at Rashard White here. Chase Claypool falling is interesting. I think we're going to grab Claypool for the fall. I think we can get Tolbert on our next pick, or we can potentially hope Rashard White falls back to us. Doubt it happens. There are other RBs that I like here. Isaiah Spiller would be nice. It'd be nice to try to find a way to include this Chargers Rams game for a week 17 correlation. I think those are the 3 biggest games, and the hardest one in my opinion to get is that Chargers Rams game. Players are just so expensive in general, but maybe we'll be able to back end it. All right, so we're on the clock here, and I really want Jalen Tolbert, but I'm looking at Isaiah Spiller knowing that he probably doesn't get back to us. So I'm hoping that with this little bit of space for Tolbert, if I take Spiller, really playing the ADP game here, that I can get Tolbert afterward. We are looking at some running back heavy teams behind us, so maybe they're going to be pounding wide out, and that hurt. So we see Hardman go, The next guy has 3 RBs, next guy has 3 RBs, next guy has 3 RBs. So that's what we're kind of fighting right now, is if all of these guys are going to grab wideouts. A little scary, but there is a chance that Tolbert falls back to us. And if Tolbert falls back to us, then this team is really lining up the way that we wanted it to. Also, where we take Spiller there, I think my Ram target is going to be Tyler Higbee, potentially. Getting him really late, one of the best offenses in the league, week 17 correlation. His team might just actually stack up exactly how we want with those 3 team correlations, along with some week 16 stuff that we set up. All right, so we're back on the clock, and we see that Jalen Tolbert does fall to us. It was getting a little scary there. Julio Jones goes before him. Somebody reached to grab him in the 12th round, which is great for us. So we get to grab Jalen Tolbert and just get that huge upside. Pretty excited about that. So now we have our week 16 stacks with our quarterbacks, which is Hurts versus Prescott. Guys I like for the entire season. We have them each stacked, one with Devonta Smith, one with Jalen Tolbert. We have our week 17 correlation with Jamar Chase, Gabriel Davis. We also have Sky Moore with Javonte Williams. Stacking up quite the way I'd like. I'd really like to get a Charger bring back. Again, Tyler Higbee is where I'd like to go here. We see he's at a 167 ADP, so we don't even have to think about him for 2 rounds. We're not going to reach too high. I'd like to get some more wideouts. Let's go over the team real quick. So we're looking at Jalen Hurts, Dak Prescott, Saquon, Javonte Williams, Isaiah Spiller, Jamar Chase, Gabe Davis, Devonta Smith, Sky Moore, Chase Claypool, Jalen Tolbert, and Kyle Pitts at tight end. So we have 6 wideouts. We can even be looking at a second running back, a 4th running back to add here as well if something pops to us. Just setting up exactly how I'd want this team to set up. Chase falling to us at the 6 just started off a great draft. People are really reaching on some guys here. So let's start looking at some of our wide receiver options. I do like Nico Collins. I am not drafting Devonta Parker. As you can see, 0%. KJ Osborne, I have no exposure to him with our 2nd and 3rd round picks, which is interesting since I have a 12% clip on him right now. So that's something to pay attention to. Like, even though I am overexposed to him versus the field, I don't have him with Saquon or Javonte Williams. So KJ Osborne's pretty interesting right there. So we'll start him. And if we look at our Bs, I'd be looking at Kenneth Gainwell or Tyrion Davis-Price. So I think the way to play this is to take our 7th wideout and hope that Gainwell, who is the one, so we see Van Jefferson go. So yeah, so I think I'm going to take Osborne here, get our 7th wideout. And now at the running back position, if somehow Darrell Henderson falls back to us, that could have been a play that we made here. I don't hate Darrell Henderson at all, but it also allows us to have Gainwell or Tyrion Davis-Price. Gainwell is with Philly, of course, and we have Jalen Hurts, but I do like that pairing. Clearly, I might like it too much, though. I have it 45% of the time. But as we see, I don't have any Gainwell with Jamar Chase, which is really interesting since I am trying to get as much Jamar Chase as I possibly can. I do have 10% exposure to Gainwell. So seeing that I have no Gainwell and Jamar Chase just really pops off the page to me here. We do see Gainwell go, but that's something I'm kind of storing in the back of my head, knowing that no Jamar Chase with Kenneth Gainwell. So those are tiebreaker situations. We can look at that stuff. We can look at that stuff on the fly, which is pretty incredible. So all 3 running backs go back to back to back. Really sucks. Was hoping at least one of those got back to us. So looking at what we have going on here, I am actually quite shocked that I have 12% Khalil Herbert. I like him, but I didn't feel like I was taking him too much. We can see that I have an 18% exposure with Hurts. I get him frequently with Chase, but again, if we look here, I have no Herbert with Saquon Barkley, who's a guy that I have a healthy percentage of. If I wanted to go Gus Edwards, I do have correlations for week 16 and 17 with him, but I think I don't need Gus Edwards on a team that I have Saquon Barkley and Javonte Williams. I think I need more pure upside plays, and I think Herbert allows that, as much as I hate that Chicago offense. Let's look at our wideouts here. We can see that I have Robbie Anderson 0 times with Jalen Hurts, so that's interesting play. I think what we can do here, though, if we want to, is I just kind of like the upside of Herbert. I think as much as I can't stand that Chicago offense, and I'm not trying to get too much, let's grab Herbert. She was on a better team, and we're going to push Higbee, which could be scary. We see that Farthing MD only has one tight end. TB only has one tight end. Friar Betts only has one tight end. All these guys have 2 picks before our next pick. They might be pounding Tyler Higbee here and just getting that second tight end. Except New York Jets fan grabs him to get his third tight end to go with Dallas Goedert, Gerald Everett, and Tyler Higbee. So again, this draft's unfolding a bit weird. I'm not like completely upset that we lost out on him there, but it is. I'm not sure we're going to get a Rams bring back yet unless we grab Odell, hoping that he resigns with the LA Rams. So coming back on us, we have a 2-4-7-1 build. I don't really feel like we have to take any position like urgently. So I'm looking at our wideouts here. See GJ Chark falling 20 rounds past ADP. He can be our bring back for Herbert. I have him 9% of the time. I was really looking at Wandale here though, at 182 ADP. So let's grab Chark just for that week 17 bring back, especially with the Jameson Williams news that he doesn't look like he's in great shape for this year. Chark as our 8th wideout isn't bad. I think we're only got to do a 5 RB build here, and I think you all know that I love me some Dearness Johnson, so I can hold off on that RB for now. Tight end's interesting because we are looking at Evan Ingram, Austin Hooper. I'm not drafting Kyle Rudolph, you psychopaths. There's Brevin Jordan, Logan Thomas, Mo Alley Cox, Greg Dulcich. There's like nothing I really love here, so I don't hate taking like a Trey McBride. I was looking at taking potentially Taysom Hill, who goes in the 15th round in this draft. We just see this other look at this run here. Another round, 15th round. We have Hill, Hurst, Njoku, Cameron Brate going off the board. So yeah, we might just be taking 2 tight ends here. Ingram's not having a great camp. We see that we don't have Ingram with some of our players, though. We don't have him with our quarterback, and we also don't have him with Javonte Williams, which is interesting because I have him at 12% right now. I was planning on not really getting overexposed to him and flattening out my exposure to him, but I think Ingram as my second tight end is fine. Then I can grab a 9th wideout, which would have been nice if it was Wandale who goes, though. George Pickens is falling, which we already have Chase Claypool on our team, but almost feels too good to pass up if he gets back to us at 187, 17 rounds past. We have like 4% exposure to him with none of our core. The only person we have him with is Barkley, but we don't have him with Hurts. We don't have him with we have him with Jamar Chase. We don't have him with either of the running backs. So I think I'm going to grab Pickens if he falls here as our 9th wideout, and then we'll cap off. All right, let's grab George Pickens as our 9th wideout. We'll just piecemeal this second tight end spot, and we'll probably grab Dearness Johnson. I'm even thinking that with Kyle Pitts, maybe I just bring back Trey McBride. That's a thought, just depending on what falls to us here. Brand guy, Dearness Johnson, 46% owned. Incredible ownership against all of our core. That's fine. I'm fine with it. I like Dearness Johnson. I've been beating that drum since February. I will stay on it. And I don't regret it. No matter what happens, I don't regret it. I think there's just too many outs to Dearness Johnson being extremely fantasy relevant this year, whether it be a Kareem Hunt trade, whether it be a Dearness Johnson trade, whether it be an injury. Chubb goes down, Dearness is going to see a bigger role. Kareem Hunt goes down, Dearness is going to see a bigger role. The only way this really backfires is with a Dearness injury. In my beliefs, I think even he will get work as the third back there. But we're also looking at these other backs like Raheem Mostert still here. What do we got for tight end? Ingram is still floating around here. So Ingram falls back to us. Again, he's been having a tough camp. We don't have him with Jalen Hurts, though. We don't have him with Javonte Williams, which is really interesting to me. I think I'm just going to grab him. I think he's a fine second tight end. I'm just gonna smash Evan Ingram there. We have Kyle Pitts. It's fine. We're seeing like Wentz, Mayfield, Duvernay. We have a 2-4-9-1 build, which is a little different than the rest of the field. Fine by us. See guys with 3 quarterbacks, 3 tight ends. This draft was really strange, but strange in our favor, I believe. See Romeo Doubs go. Dubs, Dow, Dibbs, DeBose, Romeo. Guy I'm interested in. Going to be taking more of him. If we're going to have to start grabbing on the 17th, it's just good to know. But again, this draft's weird. Not basing anything off of that. We're going to grab Ingram if he falls to us here, which he should. This guy has 3 tight ends. What are you doing, D-Plat? Pick a player. you're probably auto drafting. Maybe you get Evan Ingram, and you do as your 4th tight end. Oh, all right. What are we looking at here? Do we want to grab Mostert or do we want to grab Dearness? Let's grab Dearness for the brand, and we'll just figure out what we want to do at tight end in the 18th here. So back on the clock here, we are going to grab Trey McBride to wrap up our team, taking some snaps with the first team offense in camp. You know, could just be noise, but I think Ertz is a little bit dusted at this point. He's going way too high. This does give us a fun tight end week 17 correlation between Pitts and McBride. So there's one more correlated spot, and we'll let this draft finish up, and then we'll go over our team. All right, so let's take a look at this team. We end up with Jalen Hurts and Dak Prescott at quarterback. We have Saquon Barkley, Javonte Williams, Isaiah Spiller, Khalil Herbert, Dearness Johnson as our RBs, Jamar Chase, Gabe Davis, Devonta Smith, Sky Moore, Chase Claypool, Jalen Tolbert, KJ Osborne, DJ Chark, and George Pickens at wideout, Kyle Pitts, Trey McBride at tight end. So we see that we skinny stack Jalen Hurts with Devonta Smith. We also have Dak Prescott skinny stacked with Jalen Tolbert, which they play each other in week 16. So I like having them as week 16 matchups. We're not stacking them for week 17. Again, I don't really like many of the Tennessee options. I mean, Burks would have been fine if he was there. Weren't able to get him. Not really in on any of the New Orleans players. So I know people like Olave. Kind of not for me for the time being. So there's our week 16 matchups. We see that we also drafted Jamar Chase, number 1 overall. We were able to correlate him with Gabriel Davis for week 17. Javonte Williams we correlated him for week 17 with Sky Moore. We correlated our tight ends with Kyle Pitts and Trey McBride when there was a crazy run on tight ends a little bit earlier than we expected. But having Kyle Pitts affords us that luxury of waiting for our second tight end. So Trey McBride, if he pops off, wheels up. One of the things I normally don't like to do too much is I have Claypool. I wouldn't draft George Pickens, but he goes 17 rounds after ADP. And that's kind of the story of this team, right? We're looking at our ADP. Jalen Hurts, we get a few picks past ADP. Dak, we're getting a few picks past ADP. Saquon's 2 picks, but then we look at Javonte Williams. It's like 7 to 8 picks past ADP. Dearness, we just grabbed early because we were just grabbing our 5th running back and we knew we were grabbing Trey McBride. So that looks a little off and not in our favor. We knew what we were doing. Jamar Chase, we get to slip to the 6th spot. Gabe Davis is 10 spots past ADP. Devonta Smith, 7 spots past ADP. Sky Moore, just like 3 to 4 spots, but Chase Claypool's 10. Tolbert's 4. KJ Osborne's 4. DJ Chark is almost 20 rounds past ADP. George Pickens, 17 rounds past ADP. Kyle Pitts is huge. We get him about 11 to 10 picks past ADP. So I think this team is going to be unique enough. I really like this team. I'm glad I was able to do it on draft. I'm going to throw the team up. We're going to throw this draft up. Why don't you give us some feedback, leave some comments. Is there anything you thought you would have rather have done different? How are you liking the overlay? Is there anything you think I should have added to the overlay? How are you using it? Leave a comment below. Subscribe to Spike Week. Say that you love Rob more than Eric Bime for, and we will see you next time.